What's happening? You can see the title, my unpopular opinion about Ameerah Jones, Big Brother 24. So I watched the show right along with y'all. I don't even know if I'm going to be able to do this in the amount of time I have, but I'm going to try. I'm going to get out as much as I can, and if necessary, I will circle back. But so I was watching Big Brother 24 right along with y'all when Big Brother 24 was on. I saw everything that happened with Paloma, Taylor, with Daniel, Terrence, Kyle, all those different things that were happening. I watched it with y'all, and as I said before, I hated what happened in that room. So I know some people are probably looking at what I said over the last couple of days and saying to themselves, wow, this guy did such an about face, because he was anti-Ameerah before, and now he's not, just because he spoke to her and she convinced him. Hey, if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. It's hard to really gauge those types of things because you can only go by what a person tells you and how you feel about it. And that's what happened in the house. So what happened in that house was that one person was indeed very against Taylor from the jump. Oh, she's a pageant girl. I don't like that. I got to figure out a way to get rid of her. And she kind of told everybody in the house different things. Taylor's doing this and that. So what Ameerah said to me, we talked a lot over Tuesday and Wednesday. Today's Thursday. Yeah, we talked a lot over Tuesday and Wednesday. Again, way more than what I expected. That's who I spent the majority of the time speaking to out of anybody there. She was like, when I joined Big Brother, I was like, I will do whatever it takes to win. I will say whatever it takes. I will stab people in the back for the game. Like, I'm willing to do anything to win the game. People have different philosophies on how they're going to play the Big Brother game, to be honest. And even some of the winners that we think of as like, this person is holier than thou. This person did things the right way and played the game a good way. You can't see me? That is odd. That is odd. Anyways, that is very odd. Anyways, as I was saying, even some of the people who you say they played the game the right way, they didn't stab anyone in the back, blah blah blah. You talk to one of their castmates or a castmate, and they're like, I expected this and I got this. Like, Xavier feels like he played the game honest and fair and straight up, and Tiffany doesn't feel that way. Kylan doesn't feel that way. Like, Alyssa doesn't feel that way. So, like, there's Big Brother, the way you play Big Brother is very subjective, but the right way to play Big Brother is very subjective. But yeah, what she said to me was that she was willing to do whatever it takes to win the game. She was like, when we got into that house, we were only in there a matter of a couple of days when all of this stuff happened with Taylor and Paloma. So she's like, Taylor was not my friend at that point in the game. And even the people that I was talking to and cool with and all that, they were not really my friends. It's just the people that I connected to early. They were just the people that I connected to early. So she was like, when everything went down and we made this alliance and we did all this stuff and had all that conversation, she was like, nobody knew at that point where my votes were going. Nobody knew if I was for this person or if I was for that person. It was like, I'm not gonna, she said she was not gonna go against the majority, and she was gonna tell everybody that she was with them until it was time to make moves, type of thing. And I'm not even saying that's the best way to play the game, the right way to play the game, nothing like that. I'm just saying I understand the logic of what she was saying to me. I understand the logic of what she was saying to me. So she was saying that after she got out of the house, she was very surprised by the fan backlash, the media backlash, and to Taylor. Okay, this is the part that I don't think I said on my live. I might have, I might not have. I don't know. I was very tired when I made that live, to be honest. But she said she spoke to Taylor after the show, and she apologized to Taylor, and she was like, are you mad at me? Like, do you feel a way about the things that I did or said on the show? And Taylor was like, no, accepted her apology. I'm not mad at you. So she was like, from then, me and Taylor were cool. Talked on the phone, chilled together. This is after the show, right after the show. You know, we're cool, we're hanging in the same places, we're chilling together, we're friends, we talk on the phone, whatever. It's cool. But she said the fans kept this thing going. And I honestly remember some of that, because I was never someone to tap into a Big Brother off season, because I think it's always toxic and I don't like that. But I was kind of tapped into quite a good portion of this Big Brother off season, and I remember they were sending, they were posting all kinds of things. This is what we saw publicly. So the one that got me, which I said on my other live, was that she said that she went to Iceland to celebrate New Year's, woke up to a message that said, I'm mad that you're still alive. And she was like, wow, there's somebody out there right now wishing that I was dead because of how I played a game. And she was like, game is game and life is life. She was like, I know that in the game I wasn't always the best, or I wasn't perfect, but I was a person who knew that when I get into the game, I'm willing to do whatever I need to do to win the game. And that's what I was doing. So I always had a thing where I said to myself, I would love to kind of speak to Ameerah myself and hear from her what she feels about this Taylor situation, and if she feels like she was in the wrong, if she's apologetic for it, which she was, and she did apologize to her, and just to hear out her thoughts and feelings about it. And I never thought that I would actually get that opportunity, but it was kind of random for me. It was kind of random for me because of all the people that were on that flyer. I wasn't like, oh, Ameerah's going to be there, I'm going to talk to Ameerah. It happened organically. I ran into her at the end, the very end of the first night. You see me talking to her, but that was not the whole karaoke, the whole, lip sync battle was completely done. It was completely done, and I just happened to run into her at the end, and I forgot what question that I asked her. But whatever question that I asked her stimulated her to give me this really, really long answer. Really long answer, and it was very convincing. And really, why does she need to sit there for like an hour plus over 2 days explaining this to me? We might never talk again or cross paths again in life. That's the other thing. I have no horse in this race, honestly. There's people that I've met that can explain things to me. This is my thought process behind it. This is why I did and said this. And I don't care. You see me in a picture with Monty, but to be honest with y'all, I didn't want to ask Monty or Taylor about Monte. I just did not have an interest in opening that back up. I already think what I think about it, which is that in Monty's case, I don't necessarily think that he's a bad guy. You know, some of the things that he said in there were wrong. And at least in any interviews that I've heard him in, I never really heard him take accountability for that. I don't like the type of apologies that are like, I'm sorry if I did something that came across as this, or I didn't have an intent to sound like this. Because to me, those aren't really apologies. It's like, I'm sorry that it looked that way. I'm sorry that you feel that way about what I said, but that's not my intent. That's what I heard from him. So we didn't even have a conversation, me and him. Like, I said a few words to him, but they were unrelated to any of that. I think I just said, how does it feel to be on the outside of the house, watching the other house guests move in? And I asked him a couple questions about the Challenge USA and moved on from there. I didn't have anything else much to say because I already feel how I feel about that. So it's not just because I met her that I was persuaded. Obviously, speaking to someone and having them, talk to you and give you their explanation, yes, that's the reason why. That's part of the reason why. But I am not somebody who just jumps on somebody's side just because that's what they say. And you can ask anyone in my life. There's people in my life that hate the fact that if they bring something up and say, this and this happened, this person did this to me, I'm like, give me all the details. What did you say? And what did they say? And how did you respond? And what did you do after that? And what did they say? And what did you do? And once I've collected all that data, I'm either like, I agree with you, or I'm like, nah, you're wrong. You're wrong for that. So if I had felt that way about what she was saying to me, truthfully, I would have said that to her. And even if you don't think that I would say it to her, I would say that to y'all. Because as you can see, none of them have been on my page. None of the Big Brother 24 cast has interviewed with me or been on my page, except for Nicole has looked on my page. Hopefully we're locking in that interview pretty soon. But yeah, I feel like, she made a mistake early on. The mistake is that she came in there to play the game. But sometimes certain things are beyond a game, and you do have to take a stand. And I think that she recognizes that, even though she did tell me, like, I did what I did and I stand on it. I stand on it doesn't always mean I think I'm right. I think sometimes I stand on it means based on who I was at the time and who I knew at the time, I'm not trying to back out of it. I did it, period. And it was wrong, and I apologized for it. But I would do it differently if I could, but I can't. So there's no point in staying stuck on that, right? There's people in there like Daniel, I would not be interested in having that conversation. Monty, not interested in that conversation. Terrence, not interested in that conversation. But there was a few of them, which was for me basically, well, early on I was interested in having that conversation with Monty, but at this point I'm not. But Ameerah and Jasmine, I was also interested. I was always interested in hearing from them after the house, because I didn't necessarily feel like they represented their best selves in the house. And the truth, I like both of them outside of the house. I spoke to Jasmine also, not nearly as long as I spoke to Ameerah, but I did speak to Jasmine. I told Jasmine something personal. What I told Jasmine is that I told her that my dad passed April 16 of this year. And her father passed actually April 11 of last year. And then 3 months later, she was in the Big Brother house, right? So I told her that I saw her through a different lens now because I am now 3 months. April, May, June, July. Well, I'm about 4 months. 3.5 months. 3.5 months since my dad has passed. And I couldn't even imagine myself sitting in a Big Brother house at this stage, at this point in time. So I told her, like, thinking about myself currently with my grieving process, being implanted into a Big Brother house at that time, and then coming out to what she came out to, I feel a serious amount of empathy for that. I already felt like some sympathy for it, but I didn't specifically have that loss at that time. So I feel it more. And yeah, I connected with her about that. I did. And I already had kind of moved past Jasmine's stuff anyways, because I watched several of her lives. And Taylor even hopped on some of her lives. And as somebody said on one of these chats, right? If Taylor said she forgave her, why are fans going to keep holding a grudge? The parties that were involved in the incident have moved on, and they like each other. They're cool with each other. And if you saw them, anybody who was there at the watch party and the lip sync party, they looked thicker than thieves in there. And you could tell which people were cool and which people weren't, because clearly there were some people that were only around each other for business purposes. That's clear, but those ones specifically were not. So that's just my little thing on Ameerah. I know that not everybody is going to agree with that, but that's okay. Like, I always say that we're all different people, different opinions, different upbringings, grew up with different backgrounds, have different beliefs, different brain, like, we're not all going to think the same. So you're allowed to disagree with me, agree with me, whatever the case, just keep it respectful, and we keep it pushing. And then one other thing is that Ameerah asked me, do you want to go on Big Brother? And I guess a lot of, like, reality TV bloggers want to go on the show. No. Of all the shows I wouldn't want to go on, Big Brother is at the top of the list, okay? You might be able to convince me to do the challenge. You might be able to convince me to do Survivor. You might be able to convince me to do Survivor. I would love to do the Circle. But Big Brother, I am good on that. And I told Nicole, when Nicole was telling me, like, we have to have a talk and see what kind of questions you can ask me, and I've learned to set boundaries, etc. I told her, I was like, Nicole, the type of questions that I would be asking you now, I would be thinking about my boundaries too, and I would be thinking about what I want to invite on my channel too, because before I was doing this, I'm like, oh, I didn't understand why people said that my page was different than all the other ones that they experienced until some of those fans in air quotes from those other pages started to come to my channel to attack me. And I'm like, wow, in general, the fans of this show are really toxic. So it's a miracle that I cultivated this community. But it's not really a miracle because, as Tammy told me on one of my lives, Tammy, who follows my channel, she was like, you attracted the energy that you put out. So that's how the community was built. And that's why my community is different. Because I know a lot of people that say they can't even follow Big Brother generally, the Big Brother communities generally, because they're too toxic. Um, but yeah, that's the end of what I got to say. I'm going to be back on. Maybe let's do a live feed party when I finish my workout. If any of y'all are available in like an hour and a half to 2 hours. All right? Talk to you soon.